So on Monday, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton announced on Laura Ingram's show that he would be running for the U.S. Senate against John Cornyn. This came as a shock to almost no one, as this had been rumored to have been Paxton's next move for a number of years. Paxton dropped the following ad on social media that day. So I'm going to show that if I can find it.
Did you guys watch Laura Ingram's segment live?
Do you sometimes call her Ingraham?
Ingraham.
I like that.
Paxton watched we're not going to watch the full 3 minutes or whatever this is, but I'll play some of it. Can you hear that? No.
President
Trump now.
You've said that you think it's time for the Republican Party to move on from President Trump.
You know, in politics, unless you can win an election, you're pretty much irrelevant.
John Cornyn of Texas told CBS News he simply doesn't think Donald Trump can get elected president. Quite a statement from Senator Cornyn.
Cornyn told Fox 26 he won't be supporting former President Trump, and neither should other Republicans.
John Cornyn supports amnesty and says Texans should just deal with millions of illegal aliens.
The American people are a compassionate people, then I think they would find a way to deal with the 12 million people.
He even fought to stop President Trump's border wall.
New giant wall from sea to shining sea makes no sense whatsoever. The idea of a wall is somewhat off-putting to a lot of people.
And when John Cornyn joined Joe Biden to take away our gun rights, President Trump sounded the alarm.
You know, there are some Republicans, including former President Trump, who are ripping this and ripping you as well.
John Cornyn has decided to take guns
There's
from
your boy.
lawful gun owners. And if there's one reason, it's to prevent that.
John Cornyn doesn't share our values. It's time for a change. Ken Paxton is the conservative fighter they couldn't cancel.
All right. You get the point, right? You get the point. Yeah.
Yes.
It goes on for another minute or so about Ken Paxton. Well, in response, Senate Majority Leader John Thune, Senators Tim Scott, Steve Daines, Pete Ricketts, I think a couple more, all came out in support of Cornyn. With Thune comes Senate Leadership Fund, which is rumored to be ready to spend $120 million to defeat Paxton in Texas. Ted Cruz says he's going to be neutral. He's friends with both of them. Charles, how excited are you for this? How excited are you for this race?
Not at all. I'm not excited to see wall-to-wall commercials and not be able to get anything else in because it's just going to be on TV nonstop. I mean, listen, it's interesting to say the least. Like, this is, for me, it's very exciting having been here for a decade and not seeing much movement at any of our statewide positions. It's very exciting to see movement at both the statewide federal level and the statewide state level. So I'm excited, but it's going to get ugly. I mean, the gloves came off day one. The Cornyn spokesperson statement, which just I thought was strong. And then yesterday, I believe it was last night, Cornyn, when he was leaving his office, they interviewed him, and I forgot exactly what he said, but it's something like con man and fraudster or whatever, which isn't, I mean, like, I don't know. He usually doesn't talk like that. Like, it's day two. It's like, what is going on? So it'll be entertaining. I hope there's a serious conversation, though, about the direction of obviously the party and what we want in leadership so that we can actually make like a good decision. But this is politics, and that's not going to happen.
Do we have a good decision here to make?
What do you mean?
Are they both flawed candidates?
Oh yeah.
From your perspective, they both have their clear flaws. So it's not like we got a great necessarily. It's not like voters necessarily have a great choice. I think.
Stop. Wait a second. I want to hear what you think, Michael, but you can't just say both candidates are flawed. There is a very strong contingent of, Texans and MAGA supporters, Trump supporters. Just going there. Okay, that Paxton is like the fucking best agent in the fucking world, and he walks on water, and he's just a target of, some rhino dim smear campaigns.
No, he might be the best AG in the country. I think that is a valid. I think that the concerns that people raise about him are more his personal failings that they're concerned about in being in a position of power. I mean, obviously John Cornyn is viewed by that same crowd as a rhino, and he probably is. I would, say, yeah, probably. But I think the MAGA base is, and they already are coming out super strong for Paxton. I think it's probably his to lose. But to Charles's point, this is probably going to be the nastiest U.S. Senate primary I've ever seen. That's where my head's at. It's going to be hurling accusations. I think it's going to be crazy.
But they're flawed candidates. Okay. Is Paxton, what are the flaws? Not like, I don't really, Paxton has a sordid personal life. Okay. I think the accusations that he cheated on his wife, is that correct? He used a fake Uber account, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to relitigate the whole impeachment trial. We covered it on the show. I'm
not saying we need to relitigate it, but I'm just saying.
Are you asking what the flaws are? Is that what you're?
Is that the flaw? Is that the worst thing that people can come up with about Paxton?
No, they're going to say he's corrupt and that he was doing favors for a donor and using state resources.
What will you say? Okay. You guys said that he's.
Pull up Cornyn's statement, because Cornyn, I think, started this conversation. Well, didn't start this conversation by any means, but in his statement, he kind of summarized, I think, a lot of the arguments that side of the aisle is going to make, or not that side of the aisle, that side of the party, if you will. But yeah, I mean, listen, nobody's perfect. Every candidate is flawed. Generally speaking, I would think, like I think a lot of the frustration that people have with Paxton, or yes, on the personal side, there are some people who are frustrated with stuff in the AG's office, like me with TPIA requests, but no one's going to care about that. That's not going to be relevant in this conversation. And then on Cornyn's side, it's everything we just saw in that ad, the lack of support for Trump up until, I don't know what, maybe a year and a half ago or so, when it became very clear that he was going to be the president again. So yeah, I think both candidates are definitely flawed, but both candidates are so defined by the base that they have these kind of entrenched groups that I think are going to stick with them either way. Now, whose group is bigger? I don't know.
I think the voting base, Paxton's group, is bigger. The money, and the power is in Cornyn's side.
Looking back at Paxton's 2022 primary, a majority of primary voters in that primary voted against him.
Yeah.
So I'm
multiple options, and a majority voted against him, but he still got the most votes.
Yes.
Well, yes. I still don't quite understand. I mean,
you want me to say what my personal flaws are with, but I view Ken Paxton's flaws are from my personal perspective.
If you say, well, you're talking about the people there's two flawed candidates from y'all's perspective. And I think I understand Cornyn's flaws, his voting record and the wall, the things that, the gun right, the red flag laws, yada, yada, yada. Not great. What is Ken Paxton's flaws?
Didn't we just go over? Like, I don't understand what is.
I don't understand what you're asking. Oh, well, I don't know where he stands on foreign policy. My suspicion is that he's probably more of a hawk than I am, and then he's too socially conservative for my liking. I would prefer for the senators to be more libertarian in their positions on social issues, whether it be drugs or gay marriage or any of those things. I don't really care what people do. So he's a little bit more conservative than I like, but I'm not the target Republican primary voter.
Sure.
What is he's going to be attacked to, which attacked about, which is what I was referring to when I said he was flawed, were the things that came up in the impeachment trial. And a lot of people have really strong opinions about that.
Somebody should just pull up the statement, because I think it lays a lot of that out in there.
We just I mean, has Ken Paxton showed his brisket? Because Cornyn's brisket, I think that's pulled pork or something. That's gross.
I don't think that's pulled pork.
I mean, that looks more like pulled pork than brisket.
It doesn't look like pulled pork. It looks like a meatloaf.
It has too much sauce.
That's ketchup.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Well, Brad, what do you think? Are you excited for the race?
I mean, I'm excited about it just because it's exciting. It's exciting that Cornyn, and is such an established senator, is getting challenged by someone like Ken Paxton, who I think is, maybe is he a firebrand? I don't know, but he has that sort of persona, like the media portrays him as this, and like the things that I think there's going to be some excitement there. So I'm excited about it. I don't think it's going to particularly change. I think it's interesting also, Michael, you said that Thune, he's come out and supported Cornyn. So the Senate fund is up for grabs now for Cornyn. $150 million could be poured into just the primary to stop Ken Paxton from becoming a Texas senator, a Republican Texas senator at that. why I don't like it. What is the what? Why would they want to spend $150 to defeat Ken Paxton? At what? How? Like what plans is he going to thwart of the Senate Republicans?
Well, the what people are saying out there is that it's not his turn when he needs to wait for Cornyn to step down. I think that's part of it.
$150 million.
That's part of it. The second part of it is there's a lot of people.
Government. What do you think? Like, I don't understand. What do you think? Like, of course.
I mean, you're getting to like Cornyn. All right, look. I mean, he's gonna. If you ask Thune, he's gonna say Cornyn's a, cornerstone conservative senator, and we can't lose him. Blah 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 blah. Can he say that he's more conservative than Ken Paxton? Probably not. He would, if he gun to his head, he'd probably say they're both just as conservative. So it doesn't really matter in Thune's eyes who gets picked because they're both conservative Republicans. We all know that Ken Paxton's probably more conservative. I don't know what you're shaking your head about. It doesn't really matter.
The U.S. Senate and the Senate Majority Fund is not concerned about who's more conservative, less conservative. That's not the barometer that they're using. Yeah. They're also not MAGA.
Right. So what I'm saying is they could probably put the $150 million towards a different seat that could probably use it to maybe flip it or, get it closer to flipping by the next time or something like that, rather than wasting on a secured Republican seat.
Well,
maybe he thinks Cornyn that Ken Paxton would lose in the general, which is possible. It's going to be harder for Paxton.
There's an argument that was made in the primary for Attorney General too. Like, I mean, is it a fair argument? Do I think I think it's a fair argument to make. I don't know that it ferrets out in the end, but it's a fair argument to make. Listen, Cornyn's been there since 2005. John Thune's been there since 2002. Yes, they're going to spend that much money on them because they want their guy back. Like, this is the U.S. Senate. Like, they want their guy back. They don't want this outsider.
Yeah, I understand. It's all insider bullshit, and they have their intern twinks having sex on the Senate floor. I get it. It's gross. It's disgusting. It's politics. But as an outsider looking in, I'm just saying people would look at that and hear that and they think, why would they do that? It's $150 million against a Republican that's also they're both Republicans. Why are you spending that much money? It's not Robert Morrow. That's a local reference. You're not defeating somebody that's a disgusting human that just doesn't actually care. They're both politicians, but you know what you're getting. Why not spend that money somewhere else? I don't know. This is not a good example probably, but Vermont or New Hampshire, defeating Elizabeth Warren over a couple cycles. Wouldn't that be better use of the money? Again, I don't know if that's even possible. Pick a more likely scenario, please, if that doesn't make sense.
No, it makes sense, but you're using too much logic. The Senate fund is there to protect the members, not to necessarily. I mean, it is also to expand the majority, but it's going to go to protect the existing members first. I do think that there are a contingent in the Republican politics, both in the consultant class and in the donor class, who view Ken Paxton personally on par with how they would view Robert Morrow if they knew who he was. So I do think that there is disdain for him that is driving some of this for sure.
Yeah.
But voters get to decide. It's going to be wild. I'm excited to see what goes down.
Yeah.
And
give us.
Should we predict today? No, let's not predict today.
No, we need to predict. We need to predict.
Well, we don't even know who else is getting in the race.
We make yearly predictions about stuff that we have no clue about.
Yeah, but we could predict after the filing deadline.
There's no. Who cares if filing deadline? Are they going to file or not? They're filing.
There are other candidates that might get in the race.
There's no one that's going to beat those two.
Isn't Wesley Hunt getting in the race? Is that
there's talk?
Yeah.
No. So let's pick now. And
then go, Brad.
I'm not picking
go,
now.
Brad.
Go, Brad. Hunt enters, then you can change your vote.
Brad, go.
Then what's the point of picking now if you can change your vote later?
I think that Paxton wins the general and in the primary. In the general, I think it's a closer margin than Cruz v. Beto.
Ooh, prediction. Charles, you don't have to predict. You just let me and Brad put ourselves out on a limb. Paxton continues his streak. I don't think he's ever lost an election. He wins the primary here, wins the general, and becomes U.S. Senator.
You're not gonna give an over under on the final tally for the general. I said closer than the Cruz Beto.
No, I think. What was that? 2 points?
I don't even know who his opponent will be, and I'm saying it's going to be closer.
2 points? Was it?
I'm
No, he
looking
wins
now.
by more.
It was.
He wins by more.
Yeah, it was. 2 points. It was about
Yeah, he wins by more than 2.
2 million votes.
All right, move on.